Hi, it's Dan with Master of the Morning So You Own the Day. Are you a consummate communicator? I mean, the very best communicator you can possibly be? If not, why not? Because the definition of sales is the transference of trust. In fact, the definition of leadership, of coaching, of parenting is the transference of trust. And the only way we can transfer that trust is to understand there's a giant difference between teaching and talking, a giant difference between making a sales presentation and closing the deal. And it always boils down to our ability to not just understand, but more importantly, to be understood. Classic example is when we seek our sources of news, we never remember the facts and figures. We only remember the interpretation of the facts and figures. We want to know, how does this information relate to my life? What does it really mean to me? Regardless of your religious tradition, Jesus was one of the greatest communicators who has ever walked the planet, because he taught in stories and taught with parables. But more importantly, when he talked to the woman at the well, he talked about water. When he talked to the shepherds, he used sheep as his analogy. When he talked to the Sadducees and Pharisees, he quoted scriptures. When he talked to some of his apostles who were fishermen, he suggested that they become fishers of men. What we need to understand is that the way we communicate and transfer that trust is to focus in on the practical application of what we're teaching. Back in the 1980s, when I was in the Nancy Reagan White House, taking her Just Say No program to all 50 states, speaking in thousands of schools, high schools and middle schools in all 50 states, what I had to do is figure out a way to communicate with teenagers, especially young teenagers, and teach them this concept of practical application. And may I share the scenario, the setup, and the poem that I crafted to make my point. Obviously published in Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul and in several of my own books. I would ask the teenagers, have you ever taken a class that you find no relevance in? I remember when I got my first kiss back in college and trying to figure out the technique to get another one. And at that time in my life, I was an athlete, and I couldn't see how going to math class could possibly help me become a better professional football player. I failed to see the practical application. Then one day it dawned on me, mathematics is important. In fact, the sooner that I learn mathematics, the sooner that I can start applying it to my everyday life, including getting this next kiss, which was so important to me. This poem describes exactly what happened as I used mathematics to accomplish my goal. Yes, it's relevant to any of you who have children and any of you young men who are watching. He's teaching her arithmetic. He said it was his mission. He kissed her once, he kissed her twice, and said, now that's addition. And as he added smack by smack in silent satisfaction, she sweetly gave the kisses back and said, now that's subtraction. Then he kissed her, she kissed him without an explanation. Then both together smiled and said, that's multiplication. Then Dad appeared upon the scene and made a quick decision. He kicked that kid 3 blocks away and said, that's long division. If this message is relevant to your life, which it should be as teenagers and especially as adults, I challenge you to share it with family members, with teammates, with coworkers and friends, so that together we can do everything in our power to communicate at a deeper, more authentic level, where we not only understand one another, but we seek to be understood.